Hey guys, welcome back to the From Mourning to Meaning interview series, where we are learning how to break through the intolerable grief and return to meaningful living. I'm Isabel, and today I have with me Sam Ruth. Sam, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. This is so important.
Of course. Now, for those that don't know Sam, not only is she a psychologist and speaker and best-selling author, but she is also the proud founder of 𝘵𝘵𝘊. Now, Sam, why don't you tell us a little bit about what is 𝘵𝘵𝘊 and what led you to this?
What led me to it is I lost my husband unexpectedly, less than 3.5 years. It's almost 3.5 years. And as a psychologist, I was struggling and I couldn't find all the support and all the resources I needed. And the first year truly was debilitating. So I wanted to create the services that I needed for everyone else so they don't have to look around and struggle. And there's two components. There is a 24-hour, a 24/7 community in Facebook for anybody who wants to be in a community with people who are grieving their own way. There's no judgment, no expectations, and you have access to me all the time. And then I also work with clients one-on-one to do the things that really knocked me down, like dealing with creditors and death certificates and all of the things that pop up when you experience a loss.
Awesome. Yeah, I can imagine that being a psychologist, everyone expects you to have it all put together and perfectly done. So not only do you not have resources, but probably everyone expected everything to be okay with you and just you be getting through it like if nothing, right?
I really did feel that pressure and expectations to bounce back to work. And I'm not the type of person who fakes it until I make it. I could not pretend that I was okay when I wasn't. So tuning out that noise and creating my own path is how I got through it.
Well, and that's good because of course, if you ignore it, it's only going to come back to you. So it's a good thing that you do not ignore it, that you just continue with it, try to get through it. Now, what was the story with your husband? How did that happen? And how did you feel after that? Like, what did you go through? What were your thoughts?
I had back surgery a month before. So I was at home doing physical therapy, laying on the ground. And it was a typical Wednesday with, the last thing I expected was to have my phone ringing repeatedly to the point that I was getting a call about him. So he just collapsed at work while he was making his lunch and EMS couldn't revive him. And they found after an undetected heart condition that he lived with his whole life.
Oh, so he had actually lived with it his whole life, but he didn't know about it.
Correct.
Oh, wow.
So there was no heart attack. There was no debilitating event that led to it. It could have happened at any time in his life. Wow,
that's crazy. So how did you go about your grief, knowing that it was something so sudden and that it was something that was...
So sorry.
Not a problem.
I live in the quietest area, but we're going through a little something over here. Come on, guys. First of all, I had moved across the country from Michigan to Colorado to be with him. So my family was all in Michigan. And my first reaction was to call my dad and say, figure out a way to get me home. You just want to be with your loved ones. But by the time I got from the hospital back to my house, there were 20 to 30 people waiting for me. And I live in Colorado. It's beautiful. There's always something to do outside. And I realized that if I was ever going to get through it, I needed to stay in these surroundings.
Yeah, definitely. And how did you get there? First, what were your emotions? How did you figure that out?
I was a mess. If you told me that we went to Japan together, I would believe you. Like that first chunk of time is such a blur. And I did what people told me. A friend came in from California to stay with me. Like she would say, sleep, try to sleep, or you need to eat. I wasn't thinking about anything other than what am I going to do with the rest of my life? Like we had planned our entire future together. And my practice moving from Michigan to Colorado, my business had changed. So I felt completely lost and I had absolutely no idea what was next. And I didn't believe there was a next. I really didn't have the hope that I could get through it to the other side. So for the first 2 months, I don't know. I took care of my back. I took care of my dog. After that, I started to feel that pressure from the world to be going to things and doing things.
Mhm.
I would get the comments like, by now, we thought you would be doing more. And that was showing me, I could feel in my body the disalignment, like it just wasn't right. And so I had to step away, and I started doing any and everything outdoors and healing through nature. And a lot of people were worried. They thought I was, antisocial and a mess, but it was what got me through the day, going somewhere new in Colorado and exploring.
Yeah, so you definitely have some great outdoors there to explore. So you found it healing to go out to the outdoors by yourself, I'm guessing, because people thought you were isolating. So
With
by
my dog.
yourself, just going out there, going on walks, just seeing the outdoors, basically.
So, and I was also physically healing at the same time from back surgery. So
Yeah.
at first I couldn't even physically drive. So, each month as I progressed, I would take an emotional step to kind of match the physical healing. And I really didn't know what I was doing next. I was listening to self-help books and like doing everything I would tell a client to do without knowing what my goal was.
Yeah. And did you read somewhere to go outdoors? Was it something that you read as well?
No, I've just always been a natural. I kind of went back to being a kid. Like, what did I enjoy doing when I was younger? So I was finger painting at 3 a.m. when I couldn't sleep. And I was sitting outside playing in the dirt with sticks with my dog, like anything that could give me moments. At the time, I didn't experience joy, but any moments of happiness or uplift that I could find. And it wasn't through things that looked productive.
Yeah, but to you they were.
So it really was. And I
Yeah.
think it's important for people to know that it's okay to do what feels right, even if you don't know what the purpose is. Like, there was absolutely no purpose to finger painting at 3 a.m, but it helped me for whatever reason.
Yeah, definitely. You found that little joy, like back when you were a child, right? It's not a huge thing, but those little things that bring you the joy, that bring you the comfort in them, especially at 3 a.m when you wake up, you have nothing else. It's not like you can go for a walk. So it's great that you were able to find things like that.
And I think when people experience a traumatic loss, it's not like my brain was not able to read or process, and TVs and movies were a trigger. I couldn't put
Yeah.
anything on because something was going to make me cry. So I was looking for puzzles and like anything that I could distract myself with that wasn't for someone else, that wasn't just to get through it. Like, I wanted to at least find some moments to enjoy.
Yeah, of course. Of course. And did you at first notice yourself enjoying those moments, or were
Yeah.
you kind of just doing it because your body said so? But explain that.
I think we all have a little voice, and I had tuned it out my entire life. I care very much about what my colleagues and my parents and I don't care what Joe Schmo thinks of me, but I did care about my professional
Yeah.
reputation and appearance. And this was the first time in my life that I said, I don't care what any of them say, I'm listening to this little voice, because I was doing things that like by myself with my dog, driving around Colorado in deep grief. My dad was like, can you take it easy? You're going on these road trips, but it helped.
Yeah, of course. That was your way. That was your way of healing, being by yourself, being with your dog, doing all these little things that made you happy, the road trips, painting. If it helps, right?
Right. And I don't know how many people out, like, normally I would have listened to my dad. I really am close with him. He wants what's best for me. So it made me look back to all the years when I was thinking of doing A, and he said, are you sure? Or put any little plan B in my head, and I would go his route and tune out my own voice. So it became a journey of grieving and using my voice and listening to it.
That's awesome. So it became something even bigger than what you thought.
Yes. And I was already taking time off, healing from surgery and grieving, but I took another year off to work with Jack Canfield, who wrote all the Chicken Soup for the Soul books. And he's been my mentor. And most people who work with him do it for their business. Like, they want to take their business to the next level.
Yeah.
I was just lost and needed something. And I found this community and people who accepted me where I was, and they weren't comparing me to how I was, a month ago or 6 months ago. So there was just unconditional acceptance.
Definitely. I remember those books. I had The Chicken Soup for the Teenage Soul. I actually liked them. They were pretty good.
Right.
So I can totally understand how, if his books were like that, I can understand how working with 𝘬𝘐𝗻 was as well.
It was, it did end up benefiting my business, and it did give me direction, but that is not why I did it. And I think I did it to meet the people I met, because they've become family. And I think that's really important when you're hurting and grieving, because there are people around you that do have expectations.
Mm-hmm. So with all these people that have expectations around us, how would you ask, or how would you let people, or give them an advice on how to find their way of grieving, their way to heal? How would you explain that to them?
There is something that they know within themselves. Some people want to play music, or there's something that will get them through this. It might not be playing in the dirt with sticks, but there's something that they're thinking is unproductive or not what we're supposed to be doing. I would say tune all that out. Don't worry about the long-term goals. Like, think about just this minute and just getting through right now. And if getting into your band uniform and playing your high school instrument, is going to be fun for 5 minutes, do it. It doesn't matter you don't know what the outcome from that will be, the ripple effect.
Yeah, I think sometimes maybe while we're going through all this, no worries at all, don't worry about it. Come here. I'm sorry.
My little one's pretty frustrated because my big one had surgery. So
So you have two of them.
I do. I think that's an interesting sidebar. My dog was grieving as much as I was.
Oh yeah.
And it was devastating me. And I said, I think I'm going to get another dog. And everybody said, are you crazy? Like, you just had back surgery. You have one who's a handful. Again, I tuned that out and listened to myself. It was the best thing for both of us. They are inseparable. And it just, watching her hurt just made it worse. So again, it's like, yes, it looked crazy on the outside. And if I would have listened to that, my dog wouldn't be as happy and healthy as she is. So.
And how did you notice your dog grieving? What was the change in her?
I could take her I could drive wherever in Colorado, find water, let her swim for 4 hours, come home. She would immediately go sit by the door waiting for daddy to come home.
Oh, that's the worst.
When I did things without her, I have the little doggy cam that you can check, and she would be running from like looking for me to looking for him. So it made it hard for me to even want to leave her. Thankfully, I live somewhere that's dog friendly, but other people have to do these things. So it was so helpful. So if anybody thinks you can handle so much more than you think you can, and if there's something that you believe will help you or that you want or need, don't listen to the rest, because I would not have this little bundle of joy that really helped us both. That's when we started having a little bit more happiness.
Oh, that's awesome. And it's true. A lot of times people listen too much to what the people outside are saying. And it's not the same being in it as being an observer, right? So you can have all these hopes for this person. You can hope that they go through it quickly or get or quickly bounce back up or anything of that sort. But that's just not how it works. Things don't work that easily. Not when you're in it, definitely not when you're going through it. So it takes a little bit longer. And I think sometimes we can get mixed up with all the conversations and stuff like that going on. And we believe ourselves that maybe we should be feeling something or going through a certain way of doing things. And we can talk ourselves out of what we actually feel like doing or want to do. And sometimes that is exactly what we need. We need that, like you said, stuff that don't even make sense sometimes, don't seem productive, but they will be if we just go through it, because that's what we need at the moment.
Right. And now I have a healing through art component. So finger painting did lead to something, but I had no idea when I was doing it or why. So I just listened to those thoughts, instincts that you normally talk yourself out of because you know you best. And we live in this world that trains us not to listen to that voice. Oh my God.
Don't worry, don't worry. She just wants to keep being part of the conversation.
Okay. I don't know what's going on out there, but Dally. Oh, there's a dog. She's like,
No
Mom, take me out. Guys, treats. Sorry, everyone.
No problem at all. And it's just crazy how we'll go back to that because I remembered it again right now because she was barking, how you can tell when a dog grieves, and they do grieve. They're not just animals living next to us. Like they grieve what we're grieving. And that's crazy, right? It's crazy how they can feel that and how you know that they're feeling that.
Right. I mean, you see, like when I'm sad or having a bad day, animals will comfort. This was completely different than that. Like this was, yes, she was there for me, but she was equally hurting and I could see it and nothing helped. And that's painful. Like I'm a huge animal lover. So it taught me a lot about what they go through and then the healing power of animals.
Yeah, definitely. And did it give you a little bit of hope to see how she was bouncing back? Did that give you some hope as well?
We kind of all did it together. I really think the little one, like she had so much energy and I wanted to show her all over that it got me doing more. It got me thinking about more. And at that point, I was okay listening to myself. That you get pushback. There are people who are used to you being a certain way. So you have to be tough and stick to your guns. And so once I got to that point and I could say to anybody, I love you, thank you for your feedback, and this is what I'm doing. The people who love and support will be there.
Yeah, definitely. And you know what's best for you. And I think when they finally realize that you're doing that because you think it's what's best for you, I think that's when they'll back off a little bit. I'm guessing, I haven't been through that situation, but you can tell me, I'm guessing they'll back off and be like, okay, if this is what she feels is best, we'll give her a shot. I'm here. She needs me.
There, right? I lost people. I absolutely lost people. But the people, my people, even if they didn't understand, they were there to support me. My dad obviously worried about my future and my career. So taking another year off was scary for him, not because he had a different agenda, just because he wants me to be okay. So
yeah, of course.
I was confident in my decision and I could like, this is what I'm doing. I believe in it. Everything will be okay. He just could hear in my voice the different energy and he just stuck by me. And those who love us will, but I'm not going to lie and tell you that you don't lose people. That's there are secondary losses during grief and it's painful. But you also gain people who you never knew would be there for you. It's
true. It's very true. Awesome. And I know that you have something special to offer everyone on the call today, on the watching today, if you wanted to tell them a little bit about that.
So yeah, so my 5 steps to healing, I named it Shout. I talk a lot about making noise and being bold. So it's 5 steps to getting through these difficult, traumatic events, or if you're feeling stuck or lost. So it's easy to remember, Shout. And if you download it or click the link, you can get the whole guide.
Awesome. And I'll definitely be giving you guys that link so you could check it out. Shout, the guide to healing. So I'll definitely include that link again. If you guys haven't seen it already, just go right to it. That way you can click and see it. Now, Sam, before we go, I want to ask you if you can only say one thing and one thing only. I know you'll probably think of a million things, but only one thing that you want to share with our watchers. That can be something that they can do, something that they can take with them, and advice, anything at all that will help them during their grieving process. What will that be?
Oh, it is hard to pick one. I usually have one that's like my big answer, but I'm going to say, don't worry too much about the future and don't think too much about the past, because those are gone. So just get through the now any way that you can. And your only job is to survive and heal.
It's so true. It's so true. We can't change the past and we definitely don't know what's coming in the future. So now's the only time to live. So That's awesome. Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for sharing your guide to healing. Thank you for giving us your story, telling us not to listen to people, to basically follow your gut, because at the end of the day, it's probably what you need most. And thank you so much for joining us on this interview series. I really appreciate it. I'm sure everyone watching does as well.
Thank you for doing this meaningful event.
Of course. And thank you guys for watching another interview in the From Mourning to Meaning interview series. We'll catch you again on the next one. Bye, guys.